Hey everybody, what's up? Pastor Matt here. I'm continuing on my search for the best Greek New Testament that I can find, and I've done a couple of them already. I've already looked at the NA 28s, and I've looked at Crossway's Tyndale House Greek New Testaments, and today we're going to look at the UBS 5. And so what you're looking at right now in this not so great cell phone video here is the UBS5 on the right and the UBS4 on the left. So we're going to be comparing a couple of editions here. Now I will say from the get-go that the Greek text of the UBS, which stands for the United Bible Societies, is exactly the same Greek text as in the NA 28. So if you're not familiar with that, you're going to want to go back and watch my video on the Battle of the Greek Texts when I compare the critical text to the Textus Receptus, because if you find yourself being a Textus Receptus type person, and I made about 30 minutes worth of arguments that you should be, you're not going to appreciate as much the critical text, which I also made about, 30 minutes or so of argument on behalf of the critical text. So if you have already decided in favor of the TR, then probably disregard the rest of this video. But if you are a critical text person, then this one might be the one that you actually want to get for reasons I will explain here in this video. Now, one thing I'm going to be completely honest is I was super excited about the UBS 5 on the right. And in fact, I was kind of hoping that this one would win my little four-man tournament here of Greek texts. Because I've had the fourth edition right here for almost 20 years, and so I was pretty excited about getting the fifth edition. But I'm actually a little bit underwhelmed by it, and having seen the brand new UBS 5, actually it's not even brand new anymore, I actually prefer my fourth edition here, and I think when we jump inside we're going to see why. So let's go ahead and have a look here. This is the UBS 4. I just want you to have a little bit of a look at this text here. The Greek font is very nice and clear. The apparatus is much reduced compared to the apparatus in the NA 28, and that's the big difference. They have exactly the same Greek text for the most part, but the apparatus, the technical apparatus, is much smaller in the UBS, and I think winsomely smaller, so that I actually prefer this layout as over against the NA 28. Now let's go ahead and have a look at the fifth edition. And if I look at them closely and side by side, there are a couple of differences that you can see right away. The differences are not so much down here in the apparatus. This page just happens to have a little bit more notes than this page does. But if you notice the fonts, they've actually changed fonts. They've gone from what appears to be like an italics type font on the left to a more regular font there on the right. So this is the new edition right here. Thankfully, they retained the large bold verse numbers, which is fantastic. And I will tell you that of all of the Greek texts that I've looked at in this brief series, these are the easiest fonts to read, and to be completely honest, I actually prefer the fourth edition with the italics as over against the fifth edition with the more vertical letters. That might have to do with the fact that I was trained with this one over here. When I learned Greek in undergraduate and then again in seminary, this is pretty much the exact model that we learned our Greek right out of. So this looks like Greek to me. This one not quite so much. And I'll tell you too, I don't like, they changed the theta. It's hard for me to see an example here, but here's an example of one right over my finger right there. The theta looks different in this edition. It takes me a little bit to get used to that. So I'm not a super big fan of the new font that they use here, although that is a pretty standard font for the most part other than the theta. But I just happen to really like this font over here. At least though the verse numbers are nice and bold, and that's a great presentation. Now one thing that they did keep the same, and I didn't plan, I probably should have planned this out a little bit better. Let me try to flip and find one here. Aha. When you have a quotation from the Old Testament, it is in bold, and so that's a nice indicator that you're looking at an Old Testament quotation. I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. And in the NA 28 edition, they put Old Testament quotations in an italic font, And these bold indicators here just jump right off the page, and I think it's great. I really, really love it. So as far as the layout goes, this is probably the winner for me. It's got the right amount of apparatus information down here. It's not overkill, but it gives me what I want, especially on those passages where there's maybe some interesting stuff going on in the manuscripts. So this is going to be a really good one. These, by the way, I didn't mention this, are about hand size, 5.5 by 7 type of books. Now here's the real disappointment, and this is why I say I'm underwhelmed in the new 5th edition. Somebody out there, who did this? Somebody decided to save a buck and cheapened up the paper in the new one just ever so slightly. Now you cannot tell by feeling it, because this is some nice, very smooth, it's a cream colored paper, it's not whites. They've been doing the cream for a long time now, and they stuck with that. In fact, I wouldn't even know that there's a difference in the paper of the UBS5 versus the 4 until I start writing in it. Because the second I write in this one, I immediately realize that there's far more bleed through because these pages are thinner. And first I doubted myself, but then what I did is I sectioned out exactly 500 pages of this one, and I realized that sure enough, they cheapened it up and they went with some thinner paper in this one. And that makes me so frustrated, because what I loved about this one is the big font. It has a great, very readable font. And see, what I like to do here when I'm making my translations is I write the words that I don't know in red right above the Greek. And so that's how I work through it when I don't know a word. And if I do that in this one, the new UBS5, then I get all this bleed through. Frustrates me. So let me just show you a little section here where I did a little bit of an experiment. Here you can see I took some Pigma Micron pens and I tried in a couple of different colors, including a Bic medium black. And if you look over here, here's the bleed through on that. So it's not terrible. I mean, I'm super thankful, but there it is. There's some bleed through. Now let me just show you by comparison. Oh great, where is it? Haha. Aha, there it is. Okay, same test right here, same stuff except for I didn't do the Bic medium, but these are Pigma Micron pens. And I look over here to my bleed through. Can you see it? Like it's just not really there. I'm focusing my camera and I just don't see that same bleed through. So here again, this is the old UBS4 and this is the bleed through on the UBS5. So in my opinion, they practically ruined the perfect layout, because I really, really loved the 4. I really, really love the 4. I like how readable both these are. The font size is great. Super helpful apparatuses without overkilling it like in the NA28. But I guess I just have to swallow that pill. Now, if you're wondering what the difference is as far as the two texts, here's your side-by-side. This is the NA27, which is the same thing as the UBS4. And here are the changes in the 28th edition of the Nestle Aland and the UBS5, respectively. And you can see here that there's really only about 24 changes, and they're all super, super minor. Super minor. A couple of small words being omitted or decided against. So really the text is not substantially different. So if I had to choose, what I would tell you to do, if I'm being honest, is to go try to find the old 4, because the font is beautiful and the paper is just better. And it's better by a substantial margin. If it was even close, I'd say get the 5. But if you can find a 4, maybe do that. Or maybe you're the kind of person that writes in pencil. If you're writing in pencil, it's not going to be an issue on either one of these. Pencil's going to work just fine. But I happen to like those super small Pigma Micron pens, writing my notes in there, and I get almost no bleed through on this, and enough bleed through on this to just be annoying. All right, so there you go. Sorry for the cell phone video this time, but I appreciate you watching. And I will post some links in the description of this video so you can buy these. Maybe I'll even be able to link both of them, although this this one right here is the current one, the 5. Okay, excuse me, before I wrap up the series, I am going to present to you a couple of other options, including the one that I've chosen for my read through in 2021. I'm going to be reading through the Greek text, and there is a winner, and I'll announce that in a forthcoming video. Thanks for checking in. Love you lots. Talk to you later.